America, fuck yeah. All right. There you go. Sorry, I'm trying to fill. And we're back. This is John.
Hey, it's Paul.
Hey, it's Eric.
And it's What If Geeks. So today we're doing Happy Independence Day. Happy 4th of July. This will be dropped the Tuesday before 4th of July. I forget.
4th of July is Thursday.
There you go. Yeah. So this will be dropped the Tuesday before. We're recording it early because Eric could be out. And we decided, fuck it. We're just going to try to sandwich another one in tonight because I'm not going to bed. And
Are you sure? Because I'm pretty sure it's past your bedtime.
It's past my bedtime. It's good. I'm an old man.
Noah came down to tuck you in.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Give me a blanket and everything. It was amazing. So we decided we're gonna jump onto the 4th of July bandwagon because it's Independence Day and we have to say something about all the amazing patriotic movies in America. So a little bit of a sideline from geek culture, but kind of not really because we're a bunch of middle-aged dads talking about dumb shit. So there's kind of like right in our wheelhouse, really.
Yeah, there's a nostalgia element here too. Because before we even start this, we can talk about what did you guys do for your 4th of July as growing up? How did you celebrate that? How do you do it now?
Well, when I grew up, I watched my parents launch fireworks, and I lit sparklers, which lit to 2,000 degrees, and they were like, "Fuck it, give it to a kid."
Yeah, here, run around with this.
Yeah.
What state did you grow up in?
New York.
New York, okay.
Which you would think vaguely, at least according to everybody in New York, they were way more educated than everybody else. And no, here's the pyrotechnic. Go fucking run around the yard with it.
Yep.
Yeah. No.
So you didn't have legal fireworks really in New York, right? You couldn't.
No, the cops would roll around once or twice if you literally lit fire to the neighborhood, and we may have done that once or twice. I'm just saying. No, I heard.
Somebody
down my street did it.
Yeah,
whole street full of firecrackers and M80s and whatever else, and a couple of gallons of gasoline, and the whole block went up. Yeah.
And you
don't know how that happened.
You guys did the quintessential American sort of cookout and hanging with family, and I don't know why the hell we cook out, but
go watch the town firework display.
Yeah.
And we're gonna do it here. We're not launching anything this year, but my cousin, good night, Tony. He hit me up and he was like, "Hey, what are you guys doing for 4th of July?" I'm like, "Well, nothing yet." And we've been trying to get our kids to spend the night at one of our houses, but nobody wants to spend the night away from their parents. So we figured they'll come over here. And we'll do 4th of July. We'll barbecue and hang out in the pool and watch the fireworks from here because you can see the Disney fireworks from here and whatever else is launching, right? So you can kind of, it's a good view from this area. And then we'll let the kids go to sleep. And then me, my cousin, my wife, whatever, we'll all hang out. And then the next day we can kind of hang out some more and whatever. So we'll do a weekend thing.
You don't have to work the next day?
No, I'm actually off.
So I was going to say, can you watch fireworks? Because your bedtime comes before the sun goes down, so I'm not sure.
This is going to be
don't go on at,
this is going to be a never
at 5:30 in the afternoon.
Never-ending bit. Wow, you know what? It's bad enough. You know what? When I used to work for said company before, and now I've gone back to them, but before, my wife was the only one that used to give me this shit. Now I got you two too, so that's nice. All right, good. So we're going to do that. So we're going to hang out this coming weekend, as far as you people know. We're going to hang out. Right. We're going to watch all the fireworks. But going back to what we used to do, I will give you my one... Wait. Okay. I've got a couple. I'll give you my one from when I was growing up. My effed up memory was my parents giving me a sparkler and me running around my driveway like a dumbass. And I can't remember how old I was. Maybe 7, 8, whatever. But I went around the side of the house to the back of the driveway, and it was pretty pitch black at that point, even though it's New York. And I'm shining this thing around. I saw a little piece of plastic on the ground or whatever, and I brought the sparkler close to it. And the next thing I know, there was a fucking explosion in my face. So it was a firework that had landed and not gone off. Oh. Yeah. So that was as close as I had come to pretty much blowing my own freaking hand off.
Yeah.
But granted, luckily for me, it didn't happen. I mean, I do know of someone, one of my old neighbors back there, that did blow off a couple of a finger or two with an M80, whatever.
Oh, wow.
But yeah,
You live near Jason Pierre-Paul?
No. But yeah, that was like, I'll never forget that part. It was like the sparklers, like every time, like even now, like when people are like, oh, let's give the kids the sparklers, the first thing that comes to my mind is me putting that fucking thing into a piece of plastic, like, because it looked like just like a lump of melted plastic on the driveway. Like I had no idea what it was, and then it blew up in my face, and I was like, holy shit, that really sucked.
Yeah.
So yeah. So be careful, assholes.
And what about you, Paul? Where'd you grow up?
Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania. Oh,
And
it's a little more.
Not too far from me, but apparently they had a later curfew.
I don't think fireworks were not legal there, but it was a lot easier to get away with, I think.
Yeah, and so I feel like we did the tank, right? The little tank, the chicken.
The little cardboard one.
The little cardboard one.
Yeah.
It had it came out. The sparks came out the back and pushed it a little bit forward, and then the two smaller guns went off,
Shoot
and then
like
the main gun,
tiny Roman candles out of a little gun. Yeah,
and then the main gun went. Yeah,
I remember that.
And then there was a chicken. There was a little. It looked like a cardboard chicken, and it squeaked and laid eggs. Little tiny Roman candle eggs.
That's a Pennsylvania thing. I don't remember that.
Yeah.
In New York, we got our eggs at Path Marco.
and then the snakes, right? The little
snakes,
black
yeah,
disc.
yeah.
That's the extent. And then as an older kid, you'd get you always knew that kid that like could get bottle rockets, and
you shoot them at each other down the street.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that was so I grew up in central Illinois, but we were about 45 minutes from the Indiana border, and fireworks were completely legal in Indiana. Anything you could buy fucking dynamite there, it doesn't matter. And there was literally like less than a mile across the border, there's a huge fireworks warehouse that's open year round, right? So, but around 4th of July, somebody, when I was growing up, would always go there. Even when I was younger, it'd be like my older cousin Adam would go get fireworks. Somebody would always have them, So there was always the official 4th of July with the parents where you play with the sparklers, and then your parents go somewhere and get drunk, or they're hanging out inside, and then your older cousin comes with all the fireworks or something, right? And then eventually I became the older cousin, and then me and the kid across the street always got in way too much trouble with fireworks. His dad would buy them for us, and so we'd
shoot Roman candles at each other.
Everything.
You hold the Roman candle in your hand and like shoot them at each other.
We used to play tag with BB guns. That's a kind of ridiculousness we got into, right? And you would inevitably have a million fireworks left over, right? And so for the next week or two, you'd be throwing. I remember one year I stayed. This is probably from the time I was like 11 to 17. I lived in the basement at my parents' house. There was like one bedroom down there, so I kind of like owned the whole basement. Though there was like a living room area, and and I had my little bedroom on the side. And so we had these old school windows. There was no screens or anything. You just slide them up, and the thing's open, and we were throwing fireworks out of it, and freaking neighbor called the police on us, and these cops show up, and it's me. I'm probably like 14, 15 at the time, and the neighbor kid across the street who was a couple years older, and this cop's like, yeah, you gotta let me in, like, we don't know any better at the time, like, fuck, oh shit, we're in a lot of trouble. And this cop just takes all the fireworks from us, never tells our parents, never files any report or anything, just leaves, right? We're like, oh, fuck. And, looking back on that years later, I'm like, shit, man, that guy just stole our fireworks stash.
He took them home to his kids. Look at this.
But so for the last, probably, I'm going to say 8 years or so, my parents moved out to a little tiny town in like the middle of cornfields called Seymour. And you see less in Seymour. It's a sort of a joke. But the fire department there does fundraisers year round. They like do breakfasts, like sausage, biscuits, and gravy, and all that to raise money. These guys raise like 10, 12 grand for fireworks shows. Little tiny town, right? And these huge firework displays are better than the city. So for the last like 8 years or so, probably, my mom she lives directly behind the fire station in that city. And it's like one of the only government buildings in the whole city. There's nothing there. It's not even a city. It's a freaking village.
Right.
But, so she's been having it in her backyard for the last 8 years or so, and it is a blast, man. And just like way back when, people will drive to Indiana, they'll buy up all the fireworks, they'll bring it to my mom's house, and they've got a really small house but a really big property, So there's like tons of space outside. We can set up hundreds of chairs. We'll have tons of people there, and then the front side we'll do all the fireworks, all the Roman candles and bottle rockets, and get stupid, And so this year she's having a live band. She told me.
Wow.
I don't know where that's coming from, but I'm excited for that.
That's awesome.
Nickelback is playing at his mother's house.
right.
Oh no, I have a feeling it's some local guy, but yeah.
You'll have to remind me around our Halloween episodes about your cop story, because there's a story of my father and his partner on the police force in New York kind of ruining somebody's Halloween.
There's about zero chance I'm going to remember that.
Yeah, I know.
Even if I write it down, I don't know how we're going to get to it.
It's one of my favorite stories about him, so I'll probably remember it around Halloween. But, yeah, so, all right. Do you have anything else on growing up 4th of July?
No, I just, I'm lucky I have all 10 fingers and toes.
I never
and
blew anything up. I probably deserved it, but I didn't.
Yeah, that was one of my things. There's a lot of shit that I went away from that I was like, whoa, I am so lucky I'm alive.
Yeah, dude, we did some stuff to other people sometimes, too, or like, when we were like later teenagers, 16, 17, guys that smoke and stuff, we took a guy's cigarette one time, we emptied all the tobacco out of it and put a black cat in there
Holy
and then
shit.
packed the front end. So he was outside smoking the cigarette, and we're watching him through the kitchen window like, ooh, when's it going to happen? But, I mean, ultimately, we could have really hurt him, I think.
Yeah.
And he was pissed, but we were cracking up about it, because he didn't get hurt. He didn't blow his fingers off. He didn't blow his face up, but
Nice.
idiots.
Right,
we're all idiots, but it was funny.
We did all kinds of dumb shit.
It's the reason that we don't let our kids do anything, right?
Yeah.
Like you think about...
Which sometimes to our detriment, because there's some things they just have to do.
We talked about this before. Like, when we were kids, that our parents were just like... The only rule was pretty much, when it's dark, you need to be in the house. Yeah. Otherwise, you could just be, like, 2 miles away on your bike with your friends, doing whatever, jumping creeks and crazy shit.
Yeah, and we always were.
Yeah. And my kid can't, like,
I
barely
came
leave
home
my
needed
sight.
13 stitches in my leg because I jumped something on a bike and I ran into a car and cut myself. And I literally cut a chunk out of my leg. And, mind you, the hole in my pants was, like, minuscule, right? So, like, the thing hit my pants and drug it across my leg, ripped a whole chunk out of my leg. Nobody, to this day, we always joke around about the fact that, like, nobody knows where that chunk of my leg went.
Yeah.
But I've got, like, a massive scar on the side of my leg.
Yeah.
So, like, some rat got a hold of my leg and fed nice, apparently.
Yeah.
There you go. You're welcome.
My son walked one of his buddies back to his house, which is probably less than, in our neighborhood, right? Like, maybe 0.2 of a mile away. And my wife absolutely lost her shit because she couldn't find him for, like, 5 minutes. Mm-hmm. And you think about what our parents, like... We just, be back when it's dark.
Yeah, there was no cell
Heather,
phone.
Heather and I try to raise...
Right.
They weren't going to find us if they wanted to.
Right.
Yeah, right, yeah. And Heather and I try to raise Noah at least a little bit more toward that range where... And we've joked around about this before, where Noah's bigger than most of the kids his age, so he's not the most kidnappable child in the world. The person that tries to kidnap this kid is going to be laying on the
Kidnappers
floor.
don't keep a huge food budget.
Yeah. Noah's a big guy. He's like, they're going to try to kidnap him. He's going to come in the house and be like, dude tried to kidnap me, but he's laying in the street. If you want, you're going to identify him right now. He's laying there. So I don't worry about him too much. And he's pretty smart too. And he's getting smarter, which is getting me really nervous because any day now I expect him to hand me 2 plane tickets for me and my wife, just be like, I don't need you anymore. Bye. And that's going to happen. And he's only 7. So, yeah. So, we raise him that. You're good. Do your thing. We watch him, but we kind of try to give, almost the free range-ish. And we hate the labels. All new society, helicopter parenting, free ranging, whatever.
Kid,
Shut up. Just raise your kid. It's okay. So, there you go. There's your tangent. And Eric was barely involved. So now we go back to, all right, happy 4th of July. This is what we used to do as a 4th of July when we were kids. Some of you that do listen actually grew up with me and did the same dumb shit I did. And some of you kind of, you know these guys too. So everybody kind of jump in and let us know what you grew up doing around the 4th of July. And in the meanwhile, we decided for the 4th of July, we were going to kind of tackle maybe the most patriotic or symbolic of the country type movies or whatever that we remember growing up with for this holiday. And then we kind of maybe we'll fix it next year. we'll make it better. We kind of threw this one together at the last minute. So yeah, there you go. Happy 4th of July, and these are the best patriotic movies / TV shows or whatever that we can come up with.
So,
and Eric's got a really cool kind of. We were talking about this before the thing started.
Yeah, he's got a much better intro than I do,
and he's got a very unifying theory of what makes these movies patriotic.
So I was going through this, and I've probably gone through 100 movies today or something, like trying to feel it out, And I was picking things from the list, like, oh yeah, I remember that. That's great, patriotism, whatever. And I think I realized at some moment there was a unifying theme on these things. All right, so it was either fighting Russians, fighting Nazis.
Yep.
And to be fair, the connection may be tangential, right? Like I put Apollo 13 on there. That was about fighting Russians in a sense.
Yeah,
right.
Sure, yeah.
It's not direct.
It was the race against Russia.
But Apollo 13 also meets one of the other criteria, which is that the actor is named Tom.
Yeah.
And this really revolves around Tom Hanks and Tom Cruise more than anything.
Nice.
But so that only captured about 9 out of 10 movies. And I was just scrolling through some lists again. I was trying to figure out what is it that grasps those last couple movies, and I think I know what it is. I think it's the patriotic all-American speech. I think if the movie has that element, then I've got 100% of all the movies I picked have one of those four elements in it.
That last one is why when I was adding the one to my list, and Paul gave me a dirty look, and he said it's not a good movie.
Yeah.
The only reason I put it on there was because of that fucking speech.
Right. And I think that's it.
You know
and
exactly what I'm talking about.
I know which movie you're talking about, and I was looking at another one thinking, damn, this thing doesn't fit the bill. It's got Mel Gibson in it as a lead character. It's not about Nazis. But then I realized it was the speech. Was the moment that made that movie patriotic. So, so we can definitely go through the list here. I'm gonna see if we follow those. One of those four elements exists through all of them. Because I think we might have the complete unifying theory.
Yeah, the first video I opened up because I was waiting on you guys to vote on what we were going to do for this show, and then we decided on this one literally last minute. So Eric was here, and I had a few things already in mind, but then I opened up a couple of YouTube videos to try to bring something else to mind, right? And the first one I brought up, you can ask Eric. I was watching it and I was looking at it going, all right, he's an idiot. I don't know what the hell he's talking about. Because the first 5 movies he went through, I was like, yeah, I guess they're kind of like American, whatever. But then finally he hit one, and I went, yeah, okay, cool. And it was Patton.
Yeah.
So, when you get your big speech.
It's got
two of the elements.
Two of the elements.
That's got the speech
and
twice, probably, and the Nazis throughout.
Yeah. So there you go. So that first one on his, and I'm not even going to give him a credit because I didn't write them down, but the first 5 things he was talking about was pissing me off. So I just kind of wrote them off until he mentioned Patton, and I was like, shit, yeah, duh, Patton. So that was the first one on my list was all right. And it's the oldest one on my list would be Patton. And it's got those, definitely the big, you just remember him in front of the flag.
Giant flag.
Yeah. So I remember that, the big speech in front of the flag.
Yeah.
And it was a big kicker.
I didn't shovel shit in Louisiana.
Thank you. I appreciate you saving that bit.
Yep.
Go ahead.
So I looked through the list, and one of my favorites, and it's super patriotic. It's Miracle, the story of the 1980
Yes,
US
I have that
hockey
here.
team.
Yeah.
And we played the
Russians.
Exactly, the Russians.
In a way, fought the Russians, right? Because
true story.
Yep.
True story.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe it's not fighting. Maybe it's triumph over is the way we should.
Yeah,
should pose
again,
it.
hockey
But,
game against the
it is
Russians.
fighting.
Yeah, it was fighting.
It is
Do either one of you remember what year it was? Was it 80?
1980.
Early
1980.
80s. Yeah,
Right,
is
okay.
80?
It's the
That's
1980
about as
Olympics.
early 80s as you get.
Yeah, that is as
1980
early
Olympics.
as you could possibly get.
Okay. So, yeah, because I remember it happening,
Yeah, me
but
too.
again, I was 5. So I just remember it happening, and I remember hearing about it routinely. But I just remember it was this moment of, again, our country struggling just remotely, even in the Olympics, and then to triumph over our major opponent, Russia, in hockey.
Well, so we struggled through the 70s as a country. We had the hostage crisis, the gas crisis, all of that stuff happened, and then to get to beat the Russians, and actually what was the quarterfinals. Like it's not even like we didn't beat the Russians to win gold.
Yeah.
That was the
But
semifinal
it was still the crowning moment.
But beating that team, and it was like it's literally like this ragtag group of guys because we at this point did not have professional athletes in the Olympics,
right?
And so these are like college kids and not professional hockey, not NHL hockey players, but the Russians had always had kind of a borderline professional, athletes in the Olympics, and these were guys that may have been in or about to go into the NHL, and
they were bred for it, which will come. That'll come in another movie later.
Right. I mean, we barely belonged on the ice with them, and somehow
we beat them. Yeah. And again, like you said, it wasn't even like the championship, but the fact that we beat them.
Right.
Now, in hindsight, I guess maybe the one SJW that might kind of fall on this podcast by accident, I know just winning a hockey game as opposed to everything else we were going through at the time doesn't seem like much. But at the time, it was kind of cool.
It was a huge deal.
It was a huge deal.
Yeah.
Because back then, things were simpler and everything didn't fucking matter as much.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And the Olympics in 1980 were in Lake Placid, New York. I mean, they were here. Yeah. It was the time when, there were most people had 3 channels. If you lived in a big enough city, you had that 4th UHF channel. So everybody was
and if the president was on, your night was fucked.
Right,
yeah.
right. Everybody was watching it. I mean, it's the thing that everybody of a certain generation remembers happening.
Yeah. So, sorry, I tried to pick on somebody. Sorry, I think I did that a lot. But anyway, yeah. So for you, asshole, it was a big thing because we really didn't get a lot back then.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, the world wasn't fucking given to you. We managed to get one thing, and it was a win over the Russians, and it was amazing.
It's a big deal.
Well, so and that follows with the theme, right? Because I've got one on my list that I'm sure both of you have, which is Rocky IV.
Yeah.
And so the whole premise of that, Rocky was already established for a decade prior to that, right? I mean, this is Rocky IV, right? I think it started 70s. This was it was probably mid 70s, early 70s. Yeah. So this is early 80s, mid 80s. I don't remember what year it was. It's probably right around mid 80s. But it was definitely
go ahead Google.
It was definitely edge of the Cold War kind of, right?
Yeah. And then the Rocky thing, we can, because not that it necessarily falls within our wheelhouse.
It is literally mid 80s.
Yeah. It doesn't fall, Rocky doesn't fall within our wheelhouse as far as what we normally talk about, but it's one of those movies that all three of us, that genre or that series we all love. So we can definitely jump into.
Listen, sci-fi movies were virtually non-existent back then, or at least good ones, because we've already had this episode. So you gotta have nostalgia about something.
When we go in, we can dive into a whole nostalgia thing about the entire Rocky franchise, from the time it started to where it kind of fell off around Rocky V, or whatever, to the newer ones with Creed and whatever. We can do a whole episode about that, because I think, starting from the beginning, Stallone did an amazing job writing that fucking movie. Mm-hmm. The fact that you make a movie about a guy that's not even going to win, and then you get to the point where you pretty much stop the fucking Cold War, to bring it back to your point.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's exactly it. So Balboa had a whole bunch of different challenges, right, as a character, but this one was literally it was the Cold War, right? That's really what it was. So Dolph Lundgren's
he was the premier Russian,
the Soviet Punisher, right?
Pumped up on steroids.
Ivan Drago, was that his name? Some shit like that.
Yeah,
right?
Ivan. It was exactly that.
He's like the physical embodiment of the Communist Party.
Yes,
and he's huge and he's powerful and
blonde
he has
hair,
that ridiculous.
He's
accent.
almost Aryan and blonde hair, blue eyes.
Yeah. He was this shade of Hitler.
Yeah,
he was for us. That was
and he trains in the state of the art studio where they measure his punches, per pound per square inch. Yeah. And that's the thing. They definitely they pushed that fact of how much advantage he has over Rocky. Throughout the whole movie, including the steroids. Yeah, and then also, again, for those of you who have not watched the series, remember, we've grown up with Rocky. He struggled to get to this point, and then he watches this dude kill his best friend, and then challenge him because he's a champ, right? So
Drago challenges Rocky after he kills his best friend. What the fuck are you going to say? Yeah, okay. So he takes the fight in Russia.
Yep.
Goes to Russia on Christmas.
Yep.
Yeah, there you go. Because how many... wait, where's my checklist?
Right.
How many things can we check off on this block that are against Rocky, right? Yeah. Dude's got steroids and computers and all this other shit against him. And fucking Rocky's training with his family in a fucking... Like,
in a barn.
In a barn.
In what looks like,
literally running up a snow-covered mountain.
In like
right?
Siberia.
Yeah. Picking up fucking horse carriages, right? To train, right? To weightlift, whatever. But he's doing it, right? And you get to the end, right? Where he's like at the end of the training montage where he's up at the top of the fucking mountain. Drago!
Yeah.
Right? Losing his fucking mind. And he goes and he fights Drago. And then you have because this was, again, like to your point, this was at the culmination of the Cold War.
Yeah.
This was literally like, fucking Gorbachev is in the movie.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like half the Politburo is like sitting in a luxury box watching the fight, and they're like getting super pissed off. And
I think Reagan was just talking to Gorbachev like 5 minutes ago, and this movie comes out, and then the two of them fight, and it's this whole thing against Rocky. And go ahead. Sorry, I just stole your thunder. Go.
Oh no, not at all. Good.
Oh, I was on a rant. Sorry.
Yeah. No, it's good. It's good.
So that there's this whole thing where like we're in the middle of the Cold War and Rocky's going to fight this big fucking Russian, and everything's against him, and through some just pure willpower, Rocky, who is a full
foot.
He's a full midget, shorter than this dude. Fuck that.
Right.
He's like if he was Willy Wonka, there was an Oompa Loompa between the two of them.
Yeah.
All right?
I think in the scene when they come to sort of touch gloves, it's like Top of Rocky's head and Dolph Lundgren's shoulder. Like his head's not even in that shot.
Yeah.
And
wasn't it that movie? Because we talked about it before. I think it was BE. We talked about it before, where I think he said, "Hit me." This is Sylvester Stallone in the acting part, and Dolph hit him and put him in the hospital.
Is that right?
Yeah, I think it was that one. It was that one. Dolph hit him so hard, actually like cracked ribs and put his ass in the hospital.
Oh, wow.
No, it stopped his heart.
In the filming of the
stopped
movie?
his heart and put him in the hospital.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and we'll go back to that later when we do like the Rocky breakdown, and we'll figure it out. But yeah, I'm almost positive it was that. Yeah. He told Dolph, "No, in this scene you got to hit me," and he fucking hit him, and he stopped Stallone's heart. Yeah, everything stopped immediately.
In the crowd in the fight scene in Russia, like they're all in uniform, right? There's There's like Russian army guys,
the whole Russian army,
Russian Navy guys, but there's no like actual fans. Like they're all like Russian,
they couldn't
military, whatever. And then at some point they start chanting Rocky.
Yeah, well, that was the thing.
Because
you do this, and it's funny too because like when you grow up watching it, at that point when you've watched Rocky, and then you get to that point of the movie, little by little, round for round, Rocky always starts to turn the fight. But even in that movie, as a fan, you're like, yeah, he's turning this crowd. Maybe looking back, it's not that believable. Yeah. Okay, I get it. But in that moment, you're like, holy shit, he's doing this fight, and he's winning, right? He's starting to win, because he's getting his ass whooped, right? This dude is kicking his ass, and then he starts to fight back.
And he finally cuts him, right? And
he cuts him.
You see, he's human.
Then, you're right. And then, like, you see, he's human. And Rocky's like, I'm going to keep going. And Drago's corner is, just beat him down, and Drago says, he's like a piece of iron. Yeah. The whole thing, they translate it. And they go this whole thing, and then Rocky knocks his ass out, and he beats him to the point where the Russians, like you said, are chanting Rocky's name at the end of this fucking movie. And then they do the whole thing, which I'm gonna have to. Fuck it, I have to open this whole series, this whole show with that speech. Yeah, that whole.
If I could change,
he's like, there were two guys killing each other. Yeah. And if I could change, and you could change, anybody could change, and effectively, Rocky IV stopped the entire fucking Cold War.
Right.
And that was the end of that. Pretty sure somebody in Russia has something to say about that, but whatever. But yeah, Rocky did it. But it was an amazing movie, and it was like, again, Rocky with the American flag, right? Yeah. That when you think America and American movies, that's one of the first things that's got to pop in your head. Is that Rocky thing with the...
They didn't release that in Russia, did they?
No, probably not. Probably not.
That had no worldwide box office, right?
It couldn't have.
It may have, just not in that part of the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, anybody else that hated Russia.
Right.
All three countries. Oh, my God. Yeah, so Rocky IV. God. At the end of this, when we name them all, we're going to... All three of us have to vote which is the top patriotic movie. Fuck it. I'm calling it.
Yep.
And then we'll throw it out to the fans, and then we'll have to keep doing that shit every year. All right, so that was Rocky IV. I got, in that vein...
Well, can we stick with the Russia theme? We might as well. You guys got more? Yeah, okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
But not quite, because you even said it too. Not quite the fighting each other, but in competition with Russia, Apollo 13.
Yeah, the space race was a fight.
And
it's a Cold War because of the Cold War, but yeah.
And there's two.
Oh, there's
Tom Hanks.
There's a guy named Tom.
and Tom Hanks.
Yeah.
Tom Hanks.
Yeah,
Yep.
actor named Tom. Yep.
Somebody named Tom is in this movie. Dude, what? And you know what? I just realized as we were writing this down, I haven't seen this movie in probably a decade. Yeah. But I love this movie. I have to go back and watch it again because that's like a lot of times we talk about shit and I'm like, oh yeah, I love that movie. I gotta watch it again and I forget. And yeah, so I've got like a laundry list of shit that you guys bring up. I'm like, oh yeah, I gotta watch it again. This is one of them. I gotta watch this again.
It's a great movie.
It's an amazing movie. It's really good, and just that whole. Again, we'll get to the whether or not the space race was a real thing in another episode. I think it was, sure. Some of us, maybe have monetary
ties to
reason
space.
Thank you. Yeah, that's what I was looking for. Appreciate it. But I think it was real, and I really appreciated the whole Apollo 13 movie, and I really liked Tom Hanks' thing in it. Kevin Bacon is in it. Bam. Ooh, shit. 6 degrees. There you go. But yeah, it was a really good movie. I really loved it. Not much I'm going to say about it outside of the fact that it represented the entire space thing for that moment when it came out. Yeah, it was really good. I liked it. What about you?
Yeah.
Okay. Never mind. Thanks.
No, yeah. That's my.
All right, John. Way to slur your way through that one. I'm just going to agree with you. Fuck it. I don't even know what the fuck you said. Thanks. All right, go ahead, NASA. You got anything?
Do we have more Russian ones before I don't have any more Russian ones.
I do have a red one. I never
Russia was like your fucking idea, and you don't have any more.
No, Nazis, Russia, time.
Oh, okay,
We've got this
right.
covered. Don't worry. I have
a few.
I've got all the connections. I just figured we'd run Russia out.
Yeah, Red Dawn.
Oh, Red Dawn. Yeah.
Holy shit! I don't have that one. Ooh, and they remade it too, and it wasn't.
I didn't see the remake.
It wasn't half bad.
I did. It's one of those I won't see. Unless I'm, I don't know under what conditions I'd see it, but I chose not to see the remake of
Bill Cosby. I hope you're listening.
Point Break, Footloose, and Red Dawn. I'm just not going. The originals are good enough. I don't need your remakes. I don't need your new Point Break.
Two of those.
I don't need your new
Two out of
Footloose.
the three of those I did not see. I saw the remake of
Red
Dawn because Hemsworth was in it, and it was good. Yeah. That one was good.
Listen,
they kind of remade it for today's whatever. And
Patrick Swayze, C. Thomas Howell.
There's a Tom in there. C. Thomas Howell. Does that count?
Yeah, C. Thomas Howell.
Tom, yeah.
He played Kittner or whatever.
How about the two brothers?
Give
him a minute. It's fun to watch them sweat.
I'm gonna forget. I don't know. I'm freezing up.
Charlie Sheen and Emilio Estevez.
That's right. That's right.
They were both fucking in it.
Yeah. Yeah, amazing movie, great cast. Fight the Russians and the Cubans.
Hang on, the two Ali Sheedy.
Is that Ali Sheedy?
Because there was the other one from Dirty Dancing.
Jennifer Grey.
She was in it.
Jennifer Grey. She played Tony. Yeah.
And then it was the other girl. I thought it was Ali Sheedy.
Leah Thompson.
Yeah,
Leah Thompson. God,
the one that doesn't talk.
Oops.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
It's kind of like Ali
Leah
Sheedy,
Thompson's
not at all.
way hotter. So sorry.
Yeah.
Apparently, I had a dirty stripper moment.
And they, I mean, a group of high school and maybe sort of just out of high school kids effectively hold off the Russian and Cubans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was an amazing movie.
Underdog sort of militia style kind of.
Yeah, and the remake they do with Chris Hemsworth? Liam Hemsworth. It was one of the Hemsworth did it. I thought it was Chris.
I thought it was Liam, but
okay, whatever. Maybe it's Liam. I don't know. And I don't remember who else is in this fucking movie, but they do it. They switch it as the Chinese army.
Yeah.
So to make it a little more,
Right.
Yeah. Oh,
they're breaking our shit. They better stop.
but
it.
yeah.
But the original, we fought the Russians.
No, it was really cool.
Yeah. Wolverines.
It is Chris Hemsworth.
Wolverines.
It's Chris Hemsworth.
There you go. See, I was right.
It's also Koreans, apparently. Just FYI.
Yeah, because he plays. Oh, Chris. Well, and there's my one
there we
racist
go.
moment for the episode. All right, cool. Okay, we just got done talking about Red Dawn, and our sound fucked up again. So there we go. Now it looks better.
Oh, that looks beautiful.
Eric, you watching it? Yeah, okay, good.
Yeah. All right.
So we jump into me talking about Captain America. I think, especially for us with the way the shit we're into, Captain America is like our epitome of American patriotic movies.
Yeah.
His
His
it
name
represents
is
everything.
literally Captain America.
America.
Like, it doesn't get more.
Yeah.
You
America
could
than that.
take the A away. It could be Captain America,
Yeah.
and it might
I fucking
be
hate you right now. I fucking hate that so much. Oh my god.
But then he would drive a truck, like a huge truck, and like have a hat. And,
Yeah.
Trucker hat. And,
Yeah, he had no
Shoot
shirt.
tobacco.
Yeah.
No shirt and a fucking beer belly like mine. Yeah, no. Oh my god, dude. You know what? That bit might be better than what we did earlier, but holy shit, I fucking hate you right now.
Parodies that
my
ruin
God.
movies.
Yeah.
But well, you get like in the comics, and then they do it again in the movies, where a dude literally punches Hitler in the face. So it like says, okay, what are John, Paul, and Eric going to talk about when they talk about patriotic movies?
Yeah.
Kicking the shit out of Nazis. Okay, check mark. And that was this one.
Yep.
So this one is just the epitome. It fits every bill, and we love it.
Oh, total random aside, but on that movie, they changed his costume through the thing. Like, it was very sort of comic booky, American flaggy in the beginning, and then they changed to like this rugged sort of leather, but it still felt like super right.
Yeah.
Well, because they went with the Ultimates version, the Ultimate comic book version.
Right. It was just the star, kind of red, white, and blue. Yeah.
Yeah, that was that
Dark
Ultimates version, the Ultimate Spider-Man, Ultimates, Ultimate Fantastic Four, X-Men, whatever. That was that version of it that they kind of like, they blended the two worlds, which they did a lot in the MCU. They blended those two worlds together and then just kind of ran with it.
Yeah.
All right, so Captain America is like one of our big ones.
But it's was it Winter Soldier when he gets it back? Right? Like he take it out of the display at the Smithsonian?
He takes it and he fights Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
All right, so what was the next one?
Oh, so we were going the Captain
You
America.
went back to the Tom.
Captain America was a tangent, even though it's the main talking point in this whole thing. But then we went back to Tom's because we did Apollo 13, I think, and Red Dawn. And,
and then you jumped into
like, there's a Tom in Red Dawn, and then we started with the Tom. So the next one is Top Gun, right? That's what we did. Top Gun.
Yeah. You did Top Gun.
Yeah, Top Gun.
And that started the conversation of there's a lot of military stuff wrong with that movie.
Yes.
And so to cut that part short, so we don't go into it. We all already have decided that we are going to do an episode where we kind of break down what's wrong with some of the military movies out there, where Eric and I have a big problem with it, and Paul's going to be like, what the fuck happened? And we're just going to do that.
What's wrong with this? Yeah. I watched, what I was saying before was I watched a lot of war movies, a lot of military movies. My wife sometimes watches them with me, but she gets annoyed because I call out everything like, what is wrong with their ribbons? What the fuck is this? Like every little thing is just like catches my eye because you get that ingrained in sort of your personality after several years in the military.
Well, to that point, not to go into the next focal point of another episode, but like the Top Gun one, and I know I've said it before, because I was in the Navy and on aircraft carriers, and we're talking about Top Gun, an amazing American movie. But when you do something like he goes and he blows up the main enemy, when he lands, everybody on the flight deck is cheering for him. And that's not realistic at all. Because when you're on that flight deck, you have no idea who the fuck they hit
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, you don't even know. Like you just
some
all
guy
you're
some
doing
guy in
on
the
that
tower
aircraft
got
carrier-
the call about
Right.
what happened, and even he may not know the mission objective. Or
No,
anything.
yeah. All you know is like when you're on that flight deck, because I was the safety guy on the flight deck, and all you know is there's inbound aircraft and you're landing them. That's all you know. So that whole like when they ran up to the aircraft cheering and taking their cranials off. No,
that's another thing is there's like 50 people on the freaking deck. Like get the
Yeah.
fuck out of here! While there's planes coming in, all these guys are just hanging out up there.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, if there's that many people up there, they're doing something. They're not just waiting for that one aircraft. There's something going on. So all right, that's that. So we'll get into that one later. But yeah, Top Gun is another good one.
All right,
but
so
on that, okay, so
sticking on Toms, you got a Tom one?
No, but I'm sticking on aircraft.
Okay, yeah, we'll do that.
Get off my plane.
Yeah.
Air Force One.
Air Force One, yeah.
And one of my favorite actors ever, Harrison Ford.
Harrison Ford, yes, sir.
I'm sorry, but you tell me Harrison Ford's going to be the president? Fuck it.
Yeah.
I'm in.
I'm there.
I haven't even like remotely looked at what he believes in. I was like, yep, sign him up. So yeah, so you got the Air Force One, terrorists take over the plane.
And who's the terror? What isn't he
Yeah,
like
that's
Georgian or Soviet?
Some random shit.
Something like I'm trying to see how it works into your
Yeah.
theory.
I mean,
I forget.
I forget too, actually.
I can't remember who the hell it was.
Some kind of. I feel like
The only thing I remember about that movie was that this was a movie where the president has some type of special forces training. He was special forces, became the president, and then these fucking dumbasses who apparently do no research on who their target is.
Yeah.
Said, we're going to take over this very secure plane, and then the one guy that we're hoping to keep hostage, like, no, he can kill everybody. Yeah, so fuck it. We're just going to go for it. And he just like kind of like runs Shack all over all these assholes.
Yeah.
And,
The actors, it's Gary Oldman, and he's got some kind of accent where I feel like he's
Gary
like
Oldman.
yeah.
Eastern European or something.
Yeah, I really don't remember what
I don't remember.
His name was Igor Korshinov, a Russian Radic loyalist. Ah, yes. We
Bam.
have the
Russians.
connection.
Bam.
Yes,
It makes
sirree.
it. Your theory is holding up.
It's holding up.
Yep. Fuck Russia,
It's a
get off
bizarre
my
theory,
plane.
but yeah.
All right,
That's all I remember.
I've got
I
a
think
twofer.
there's also technically a speech in that movie. It may be a bit of a
Somewhere in
monologue
there,
with
yeah.
Harrison Ford, but it's kind of there.
Yeah. I've got another twofer, which is, I don't think we've mentioned yet, Saving Private Ryan.
So that is, honest to God,
Tom Hanks.
my favorite movie of all time. I have watched that movie. It's the only movie I've watched like 100 times.
Tom Hanks.
Literally, I'm
and,
not fucking around.
Tom Hanks
It's an
and Nazis.
amazing
Yeah.
movie.
It is amazing.
I used to, when I lived in Germany, I didn't have cable or whatever, and I would watch that movie like every night. That and Gladiator were the two movies I watched like all the time.
The D-Day landing scene is super intense.
Super intense. And
Eric used to run around Germany smacking 10-year-olds
Yeah.
going, Tom Hanks.
yeah, yeah, fucking Nazi.
Yeah.
But
Well, there go those listeners.
Yeah.
Sorry.
no, really though. Yeah, so my grandfather was at Iwo Jima landing, and the way he describes it is incredibly close to what goes on in this movie.
Nice.
So he's still alive, believe it or not.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, one of a few guys to live from his company.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I could go through a whole nother tangent on that. I'll send you guys. There's a video of him telling his whole story to like this Lincoln Historical Society or whatever. They just recorded him doing this whole story. He was probably about, I'm going to guess like late 70s at the time. He's 90.
I was going to say, how old is he now?
94, 95, yeah.
Yeah, my grandfather's 94.
Oh, yeah, let's share that.
Yeah, it's a really cool
None of my
video.
grandparents are alive
And
now.
he gives his whole story about everything that happened. And, people thought, back in the States, thought the Iwo Jima battle was over, right? The flag had gone up? No. They were there much longer. He was like stuck in a foxhole when the flag went up. The fighting was not even close to over at that point, Well, not a foxhole, a mortar hole, actually.
That'll be a side tangent to like maybe our other podcast of how many shit we lied about. Whoops. We just raised this flag over here.
Yep.
Don't worry about that screaming over there.
Yeah. Yeah, basically. I think the fight went on for like another close to 30 days after they raised that flag. But the stories in the States were like, it's over. We won.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. The squelch the squeamishes or whatever.
Yeah, I'll find that. I have that video. I'll find it and I'll post it up.
Yeah, share it on
really
our
cool,
Facebook.
Man.
That'd be cool.
It's a good hour plus of him talking and telling a story, but it's really cool, man.
All right, who's got one?
So Saving Private Ryan, though, I interrupted you. I'm sorry.
I was going to say it's Nazis and a Tom.
Saving Private
Nazis
Eric's
and
granddad.
Nazis and two Toms.
Two Toms.
Tom Hanks and Tom Berenger?
Berenger, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Nice.
For some reason, it reminds me of Platoon. It wasn't on my list, though.
All right, so one that I don't know that fits that bill, at all.
Uh-oh.
But not those.
I know what you're going to do.
We've gone down like the Tom and the Nazis for a long time now. So we've skipped away from some of your other points. Your other point, one of your major points was the big speech.
Yeah, the big speech.
And I'll be damned if at some point in here I'm just going to interrupt this podcast with this entire speech. But the only thing that makes this movie, because when I wrote it down, Paul looked at me and said, "That is a god-awful movie." And I said, "There's only one reason I'm writing this down, is because Bill Pullman, as the president, makes a speech that is epic."
Yeah.
This movie is Independence Day.
Mm.
And to solidify Paul's point, when they went to make a sequel, it was even more god-awful. So the only redeeming quality about this movie is fucking Bill Pullman in the speech. And I'm not even going to remotely try to do it here. I'll find it and I will
cut it in.
I'll cut it in. Yeah. It's fucking epic. It's amazing. But it unites the entire planet against these aliens that are invading the Earth. And it revolves around Independence Day, and it's so fucking good.
And there are nods to how ridiculous we kind of are as Americans with the 4th of July thing. Because there's a scene where Will Smith is being chased by the alien ship or whatever, and he ends up crashing. Remember, and he has to go over to the ship and pull the thing over, and this fucking alien pops out, and he's like, "Oh shit!" And he starts punching the face.
Well, he punches the alien.
Yeah. What does he say? Yeah, but what does he say to him before that? Could have been at a fucking barbecue,
right?
Like that's what I'm supposed to be doing on Independence Day, not this bullshit.
Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, he's like some captain in the army or some lieutenant, whatever. Shut up. If there's aliens coming down, you know damn well you ain't going to a barbecue. But yeah, so God. And for some reason, Jeff Goldblum gets on a Windows fucking computer or a Mac computer
and uploads a virus.
Yeah,
emails them a virus.
Emails them a virus, and that kills everything.
I think they stole that from War of the Worlds.
Well, yes. The whole concept is War of the Worlds. They couldn't deal with our culture or our environment, and they got a cold and died. So it does revolve around that, but so fucking stupid.
I'm on a tangent again.
The more I think about it, the more stupid I think it is. Most of that
it is stupid.
I initially just for the dumb shove popcorn in your face and watch it movie.
Yep.
That's the part that I appreciate, and I love the speech. And then the more I think about it, the more I'm like, God, I'm really a fucking dumb. Holy shit, this is stupid. All right, so go ahead.
A quick tangent. So in when I was in college, I took this English writing class thing, right, where you write stories or whatever, and the whole theme of the thing was there's only one story, and so they kept going back to it. Starts very encompassing with all these different sort of genres of writing and all these different themes, and it really narrows everything down to say, there's really only one story, and it's about sort of the human story or whatever. But the whole point was nobody has original ideas, right? Everything is borrowed. Right. Even when you think you have an original idea, that shit came from somewhere. Yeah. It was just interesting, and you see this echoed in movies like even this terrible one that we were talking about. But it's just they stole that from War of the Worlds. That was an idea that had long since been done, but it was sort of the new version of it, right?
Right. Well, there's a similar theory that I read that Paul and I talked about previously. That it was there's only 7 original stories written, and everything else is a tangent on that or something. Yeah, whatever they broke it down to.
This wasn't literally there's only one story, but the concept was just.
But that
everything
was the
is
same
borrowed from something else, and you've seen it before.
And that was the concept that I read. It was there's an article written that there's this many original stories and everything else is a tangent of that or a rewrite of that. Yeah. So,
I always look for it now after taking that class. That was the only. I always look for that. Like, oh, where did that come from?
Yeah, no, it makes sense. What you got, Paul?
The last thing I've got, I have Band of Brothers as an aside to Saving Private Ryan because I think it's in the same.
I love that
in a sort of genre. It's not a movie.
Yeah,
it's a mini series,
but it's so well epic.
Done.
Yeah,
and so epic, and so like if you're thinking about things that are patriotic and make you proud to be an American, it's that story.
Yeah. And that is one that, like, anytime I get together with my father for, like, more than a weekend, he wants to watch it. Yeah. so to me, like, it's a personal thing. Like, he and I watch it together anytime we get enough time to sit there and watch it. So, yeah, I love that series. I love it. Eric?
I have a couple on my list that are sort of more legal procedural kind of things, but like A Few Good Men and there's something about them. It's probably speeches because that's really what the movies are more about.
You can't handle the truth.
And there's a Tom.
Yeah, and there's a Tom. There's a Tom. Yeah, so I guess we don't go far from there. But I had a couple like that. But
The Patriot.
So I think that one breaks all the rules.
It does. And that's.
No, there's
of my last two.
There's a speech. There's a speech.
Yeah, there's a speech. Okay, there you go.
There's a quintessential American speech. It's not like just there's a speech in almost every movie, but
yeah, sure. All right, but
there's the proud to be American speech.
Yeah.
And one of the movies where, again, when you weigh Mel Gibson against some of his other
weigh Mel Gibson against Mel Gibson.
Yeah,
right. Like, can we cancel Mel Gibson? Yeah.
When you weigh him against his reputation, The Patriot, Braveheart, those kind of things, even The Passion of the Christ. I mean, those things kind of like weigh out. Like, woof, yeah, he did a really good job with this shit.
What's interesting is if you think about Braveheart and The Patriot together, it's kind of the same movie. But it's not all that different, right? He fights unwillingly at first. Mm-hmm. He has to be dragged into the fight. Like, William Wallace doesn't want to fight.
Yep.
I can't remember what his character's name is in The Patriot, but he doesn't want to fight. Only when pushed to a limit, and it involves the hurting of his family, does he fight. And then when he fights, holy shit, it's on.
Yeah.
Right? So, just in those couple lines, like, it's essentially not that dissimilar. Like, it's relatively the same movie.
Yep. And then, and you guys got nothing else, right?
Yeah, that's all I got.
All right, so the last one I got, and I've been racking my brain for the last 5 minutes just to come up with something off the top of my head, and I can't. Apparently I'm tired, I'm old, and getting ready to go to bed. Thank you. The last one I got is just a funny one. It's Team America. Dude, Team America, World Police. I'm sorry. But if you're ever going to make a movie about America...
Yeah. No.
As much as I love this country...
America.
Yeah.
That should have been called Team America.
As much as I hate
except
that phrase...
America was not a thing when that was made.
Yeah.
But that is Team America.
As much as I hate that phrase, yes. And again, like you, I spent so many years defending this country. I love this country. But if you're going to, again, like almost everything else I ever do in my life, I will look at everything through the lens of humor. There's always something funny about everything. I mean, including our lives, obviously. We do it all the time. This movie takes everything about the American 80s, whatever, those movies and whatever, and just says, fuck you.
Yeah.
Look, this is what you think you are.
Yep.
So Team America World Police. And it says, okay, you guys are going to solve everybody's problems. And it's a clusterfuck of a movie. But it's amazing.
Yeah. In so many different ways. Yeah. It's a clusterfuck of a movie.
Literally.
Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, there's
from
for those
marionette
of you who
porn
maybe don't
to
know,
yeah, exactly,
to the greatest theme song of America. Fuck yeah,
America!
Oh my god! And to the fact they use it so many times in the movie, they slow it down.
They slow it down and make it like a love theme.
They make it a ballad. It's so,
oh yeah, it's so good,
so amazing. So yeah, so if you want to laugh at our country, which most of you do, But if you want to like realistically laugh at some of the dumb shit that we've done, look at this movie. It's amazing. It's by the guys that make South Park, and it's fucking epic.
And it's obvious that it's made by the guys that make South Park.
Oh, yeah, from the minute it starts.
And probably half the people you tell to watch it would hate it if they didn't have that preface and understood what they're about to
you
get
have
into.
to understand that it's made by the guys who make South Park. Just for the guy, the one that's in, he's on the cover and giving the signal, and he's waving his arms. That son of a bitch, and they're still shooting at him. Yeah. It's just so fucking stupid.
Or that one of the guys is from Durkistan.
Durkistan, yeah.
And as he speaks, it's Durka.
Yeah, everything is Durka. So there you go. So anything that you remotely thought I ever said was wrong over the last 30-something episodes, there you go.
Yeah. Well, and they
Team America.
I saw an interview with those guys, and they said what they set out to make was a Jerry Bruckheimer movie with marionettes. And so it's got like the kind of, either helicopter or crane sort of establishing shot. Like it's shot like Jerry Bruckheimer shoots
it is.
movies like Bad Boys and everything else.
It is, yeah. It's fucking epic. It's amazing. So, all right, yeah. So there you go. We will end our 4th of July patriotic movie episode on Team America, World Police. I'm sorry. I don't know what else to say about that. But knowing this show, you're kind of welcome. It's very fucking appropriate. Yeah. But yeah, so if you guys think of any other patriotic movies that we haven't thought of, please hit us up. Let us know, and I will try my best to get some of the sound bites that I was trying to copy earlier and like put them in this episode. So maybe we'll see how that goes. But hit us up. We'll be at whatifgeeks@gmail.com, at Instagram and Facebook and Twitter and all that shit. Yeah. Let us know.
Happy 4th. Don't blow your fingers off.
Please.
Be safe.
Yeah.
Or if you do, make it a great story and email it to us.
Yeah. Oh, my God. Yeah. But apparently slowly.
Right. Do you want to be the next Florida man?
Oh, there's going to be a rash of good Florida man stories after that.
Oh, I'm sure.
Oh, my God. Yeah. That's it. All right. So, now we have homework.
Email us your story with 9 of your fingers.
We love you. We're serious. All right. We'll catch you later. Good night, Tony.
Good night, Mom.
Good night, Mom.
If I can change, я думаю, что каждый тоже изменился сегодня. And you can change. Вы можете измениться. Everybody can change.